Okay, on page 137 is the magic agreement that you are to use when you are lease optioning a property and taking a deposit from someone. I wished I had this agreement back in my early days. It would have saved me a lot of grief. It's called the Application and Receipt Agreement, and it is a work of art. And what it does is very simple. It allows you to take deposits on houses without taking them off the market. This agreement says, I will take your deposit, and if I accept you, I will apply it toward your down payment. If I do not accept you, I will give it back. But if I accept you and then you back out on me, you will lose it. Nowhere in this agreement does it say, I am obligated to sell you my house and we are under contract. This, just as it says up there, it's an application receipt agreement. It's an agreement that I'll accept your deposit. Therefore, you can have 5 of these things floating around on one house with no obligation to sell the house to this person. This is even more important if you're cashing out and they got to go get qualified for a loan. Because, guys, I want more than one application floating around on the house for getting qualified for a loan if I can get them. Therefore, one of them might actually go through. It's of less importance if I know I'm going to be putting them in the house 2 or 3 days from now on a lease purchase, but this is still what we get signed. They sign this document the minute they give us that 1,000 or however many it is, and I'm still under an obligation to put them in the house. They think I am, but I'm not. If somebody is in my office and I agree to take their $5,000 a day and somebody comes along tomorrow with $10,000, they got bumped. They got bumped. You call them back and say, whoop, sorry, somebody came in with a better offer, so we're going to send you a deposit back. Or would you rather us hold it and apply it to the next house? And they choose. In fact, we had a situation like that. Not too long ago, we had 2 people come to a meeting 1 hour apart, and both of them wanted a house, and both of them had a down payment. I picked the one I liked the best, and boy, the other one was just heartbroken, but so be it. We chose the best of the 2, and that's your right as an owner or landlord of the property. Okay, read that when you get a chance. You'll like it. Okay, on the next page, on page 139, is about my down payment assistance program. And here it is in its simplicity. First, we arrive at what the tenant can pay per month. Let's say it's $1,000, because it's a nice round number. And then, before the meeting is over, we do this at the meeting. Before the meeting is over, we give the tenant an incentive to pay extra above that every month toward their down payment. Toward their down payment. So I'm financing their down payment. I'm taking monthly installments to be applied directly toward the down payment, not the purchase price, the down payment. So they get to pay more down payment in so that they're better qualified when it comes time for them to apply for the loan. And I do that by letting the tenant decide what they think is best for them and giving them a strong incentive to decide for more money instead of less money. And so here's the simple formula I use. First, I start by asking them, John, I have a down payment assistance program you need to know about. And it's simply this. Sometimes tenant buyers come to me and they would prefer to pay their more down payment in monthly installments so that they can build it up to when they really have a nice down payment and time to buy. Thus, it lowers the loan and it makes it easier to get them qualified. I can do the same for you, and you do not pay any interest. How much above your rent do you think you could pay in per month to apply toward the down payment assistance program? And I let them give me a number. 100, 200, whatever the number is. They give me a number. And then I say, well, okay, I'll make a note of that. And I write it down. Then I say, all right, well, John, I'll make said note. And by the way, just so you'll know, your agreement will say you can miss 2 of these a year, or 2 of these, and not jeopardize your option. By the way, it does not jeopardize their option, period, whether they miss them or not. You cannot take away their option to buy just because they didn't make these extra payments. And please understand, you cannot evict them if they don't make it either. This is not rent. This is additional option deposit that they're making. You cannot evict them because they don't make that extra payment. So then I will say, well, John, listen, what if we do this? You said you could give me 200. If you could see your way clear to bump that to 300, I'll take your 300, apply it directly toward your down payment, and then I'll give you an additional $150 a month credit off of your purchase price. How does that sound, John? You get $300 a month off your down payment and $150 off of your purchase price. John says, wow, that sounds pretty good. Now, guys, this is not applicable to acts. I can't give them $150 off the purchase price on acts. I have no equity to give them. Are we clear? This is only if I own it and I'm lease optioning it, or if I've lease optioned it and I'm sublease optioning it on a sandwich. So John makes a decision. Can I bump it to 300? And if he says yes, I'll write down the 300. I say, oh, that's good, John. You're going to get the down payment paid in quick. All right, John, we pretty much got what we need here. But one more thing. John, I know this might hurt, but it is an option for you to consider. If you could see your way to clear to make that $400 a month above your rent, I'll see your 400 and I'll raise you 400, which means I'll give you $400 credit toward your down payment and $400 a month off your purchase price. So you give me $1, I give you $2. How's that sound, John? And if John can see his way to 400, I just got me $400 a month extra cash flow by flapping my lips for an extra 5 minutes. By the way, did I do a great service for John? Yes, if he buys. If he doesn't buy, however, none of that $400 is refundable, and that is clearly disclosed in the down payment agreement when we get to it here, which becomes an addendum to your lease option agreement. So, guys, I almost never fail to get that extra money coming in per month when we have that conversation. Everybody can pay a little extra. And here's all you got to remember. First, you ask what they can pay, get a number. Then you give them 50% credit and bump it. And then when you get that number, go ahead and give them 100% credit and try to bump it again. Could you remember to do that? You'll love it. You'll absolutely love it. So now you take a house that you would normally rent for $1,000, and all of a sudden you're getting $1,400 a month out of it, just because you ask. All right. Page 140, getting the buyer to the closing table with owner financing. Well, this is real easy. Once you screen them and you know you want them, simply set it up for the attorney to close. That's all. Now, remember, it's up to you. Make sure you know what the attorney needs to put in the note. For example, the late penalty. Guys, if you don't tell the attorney to put in the late penalty 10% after 5 days, you can't expect them to do it. Anything else you want in that note, you got to tell that attorney. If it's a lease purchase, it's real easy. Here's how it works. I have the terms, we've agreed upon them. I know how much down, I know how much per month, and I know how long they want to lease it for, and I know if they want to put any extra in per month. I simply go to my Gold Club site, and I pull up the resources section, and I go to the proper lease purchase agreement, which we're about to discuss, and I fill in the blanks. Not, well, I don't. Who does? The VA. In fact, you could send the letter of intent to the VA and let the VA fill in the blanks and then send it back to you to check it before they send it to your attorney. So Ron, are you sitting here telling me that you're actually filling out the agreement for your attorney? Yep, that's what I'm telling you. Well, what the heck are you paying them for? Well, sometimes I wonder. But I'm paying them just because I know that they're there getting the job done, creating the credibility, getting the rest of the forms done that they need to do. And I'm not paying them much. We pay our attorney we don't pay our attorney. Our buyers pay our attorney $300 for these closings. $300. And no, they don't earn that $300. But I'm not paying for it anyway. Now, depending on where you live, that's going to vary. If I'm living in Washington, D.C., for example, am I going to pay more? I'm living in New York City, am I going to pay more? Okay? I'm living in L.A., I'm going to pay more. But what you pay kind of depends on your ability to go find real estate attorneys, especially those that need the work, and negotiate the price down for ongoing business. Even though you're not paying it, you want to get it as low as you can because your buyer's got to bring in that money extra. And I can tell you right now, any attorney that wants you to pay more than $500, you need to go find somebody else. Because there is not much to this. You're going to fill out the agreement and send it to them. They're going to get a few other things signed, and they're going to call the seller and have a discussion with them, and that is it. They do have to meet the buyer, though, and go through do you understand this? This is what this says, you get it, yada, yada, yada. So they might be with a buyer. How long do you think, Scott? 15 minutes? Max?
Yeah, Bernard blocks off a 30-minute window, but it's no longer 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, so we call it 30 minutes. And frankly, that depends on how much mindless chit-chat goes on along the way, which is why I can't stand going to closings. Oh, God. If you ever want to be bored out of your mind, go to a closing where the buyer is getting a new loan and sit there while they explain all that crap to them and go through this mountain of forms and try to stay awake. I have a title company in Jacksonville that I worked with for a lot of years, and I just loved the way he explained a mortgage. He put it in front of me and says, this says, if you don't pay, you don't stay. Sign here. Well, that's pretty much what it says, isn't it? Huh? Yeah, it is. Okay. So we simply set up an appointment, we send them over the lease agreement, and make sure they understand the numbers, and that's it. We're done. And we also make sure that they know how much more money to collect. And I want you to instruct your attorney. I want you to collect the deposit money, the balance of it. I want you to collect your fee, and I want you to collect first month's rent, and I want you to pay us from your escrow account. So the attorney will instruct the tenant buyer to bring negotiable funds to closing as they would any other closing. That way, when you get paid, it's coming from the attorney's escrow account. Do you know that if you take a check from a tenant and you put them in a house and it bounces, you got to evict them to get them out? You can't just go say, hey, your check bounced, get out of my house. Once they take possession of your house, they have every rights of any tenant, whether the check bounced or not. So I want negotiable funds before I'm going to turn over the keys to the house, so I'm going to leave it up to my attorney to make sure that he gets negotiable funds so that we get his check that won't bounce. And that's the way it should be done.